At this moment is the transition to clean and green energy, and the man leading the charge on India's behalf is the Union Power Minister, the Minister for Renewables, R K Singh. R K Singh ji, welcome and thank you so much for your time. I want to start by asking you about your key takeaways from the World Economic Forum at Davos. You've been leading India's pivot to clean energy. Where do you think our efforts stand relative to what's happening in the rest of the world?
When the president of the WEF, he came over to invite me in Delhi, he came in November or December, and he said, like, you have a story to tell. India has a story to tell, and you must come and say it, you must come and tell it, it's worth telling. So it's not that, what we have done has not percolated, but it has actually percolated around the world. How would he know? When he came back, then again he wrote to me that you must come. What we have done is unparalleled. Recently a survey by the neutral international body categorized us as amongst the top 5 countries in the world in terms of energy transition. And of those 5, we are the only major economy. The others are small ones, Norway, Sweden, that type. Only major economy in that top 5 in terms of energy transition. We are, another body categorized us, and we believe that categorization is correct, that we are the only major economy whose energy transition actions are consonant with a sub-2-degree rise in global temperature. This is what we have done. The world recognizes it. We have added renewables, not only adding, it's two things we have done. One is, of course, changing the structure of power generation of electricity. And the other, of course, is reduction of emissions direct. Now, changing the structure of the power system, we had pledged in 2030 that by 2030, 40% of our capacity will come from non-fossils. We pledged that in Paris, in COP21. Now, we achieved that 9 years in advance. We achieved 40% non-fossil in November 21, 9 years in advance. So today, my capacity, non-fossil capacity, is 177,000 megawatts out of 408,000 megawatts. That's 42%. So that is why in Glasgow we said that, again, it's a modest target, that by 2030, 50% of our capacity will be non-fossil. Actually, again, we'll cross that. By 2030, we will have 500 gigawatts of non-fossil, which will be about 60% of our total capacity. So, as far as the structure of power generation is concerned, we've changed it. And that has been one of the reasons why we didn't face the turbulence which Europe is facing.
But one of the concerns I have as I study the government's plans, for example, in trying to enhance the usage of solar energy, is the fact that a lot of critical components are actually coming from assets owned by China. And because they were much earlier in this game than India, they have gone
not is.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand to what extent have you been able to rectify it so that we don't end up dependent on our enemy number one?
Absolutely. Now, this was my concern, and this was our concern, my Prime Minister's concern as well. 80% of the cells and modules were coming from China. Now, by and large, we believe in the free market, open markets, etc. But what they tried to do was, they tried to do dumping. That means kill my industry. So we put anti-dumping duties. That didn't work. We put 40% duty. And of course, we put in place mechanism of approved list of models and manufacturer. So today, and the bulk of my requirements of cells, modules, etc., are met by my own manufacturing, and my manufacturing is growing. So today it's about 25,000 megawatts already modules, and I have a further about 8,700 megawatts of manufacturing from polysilicon onwards, 2 modules under construction, plus 3,000 megawatts. This 8,700 megawatts is one lot, 3,000 megawatts is another lot, 11,700, And I am going to come out with a PLI bid in next 15, 20, it's already floated, that tender, for 65,000 megawatts, 65 gigawatts of manufacturing capacity from polysilicon to modules. I have already emerged as an exporter. Every month, my export numbers are increasing. So that situation has changed. And that supply chain problem we have taken care of. There's other supply chain issue looming, I'll tell you. You want to know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, the other supply chain issue which is looming is storage. What has happened in storage, I'll tell you. You see, you can't have energy transition unless and until you crack the storage problem. Storage has to become viable, and it is not viable today. All these developed countries who have been talking about, the need for energy transition, the need for climate action, have done nothing. The largest quantum of storage is set up is 450 megawatts. That's it. I came out with a bid. Now, so the price of storage is high because you don't have capacity, you don't have manufacturing, right? The prices will come down only if you have manufacturing and only if you have capacity. I came out with a bid for 1,000 megawatt hours of storage. This was the biggest bid in the world. And the price I got was 10 rupees per kilowatt hour. That means to store 1 unit of energy for 1 hour, the cost is 10 rupees, which I have to pay. I finalized that bid. My price of renewable energy is 2 rupees 50 paise. So the total cost, if I store that energy for 1 hour, is 12 rupees 50 paise, which is high. Now, why is it high? As I said, manufacturing, not there. Volumes, not there. We are adding manufacturing. We came out with a PLI for manufacturing. We are coming out with another PLI for manufacturing, so that we have grid scale storage. Then we are adding volumes. This was one. The other bid was for pumped hydro. That was 3,000 megawatt hours. That we got the rate which is okay.
At this moment, the government seems very excited about green hydrogen. And as there are conversations about hydrogen at the World Economic Forum, there are lots of practical concerns about the usability of green hydrogen.
I'll tell you. You see, it's not a question of us only being excited. The world is excited because it's a future. It is actually the future, and we have emerged as a leader already. We have emerged as a leader in renewables. We have emerged already as a leader in green hydrogen. We launched this mission just about 15, 20 days back, but we have been preparing for it for some time. We came out with rules earlier. We have been preparing for it for some time. I already have manufacturing capacities lined up through the private sector. I don't do anything. It's the private sector. For about manufacturing about 6 million tons of green hydrogen and 32 million tons of green ammonia. Now, no other capacity in the world is equal to that. No other capacity in the world. So we will emerge as major exporters of green hydrogen and green ammonia.
But tell our viewers who are watching you at this time.
Yeah.
Outside of
now, as far as
the title, what is the real purpose? Like, how does it change
exactly.
my life? Let's come to that.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, you import gas from which you extract hydrogen, that's called grey hydrogen, for refining, use in refining. Now, all that will be replaced by green hydrogen. And in fact, it has now become, because they have increased the gas prices, so now my green hydrogen will cost less than the grey hydrogen which you make from imported natural gas. You use grey ammonia. That means you import gas, extract ammonia from it. It's called grey ammonia for making fertilizer. Now, that costs $1,100 a ton. I will make green ammonia at about $600, $700 a ton. So now, because these people have, and this is what I said in one of the meetings here, I said that now the oil companies have hiked up the prices of gas so high that it has helped us. My green ammonia and green hydrogen have themselves become competitive. So I'll be replacing all that natural gas which is imported by goes for fertilizer. We use green ammonia. So this is a low-hanging fruit. Then the world is going to go to green steel. Europe has already come out with standards. They have said that after 2026, any steel which they import, they look at the carbon content. And if the carbon content is beyond a certain limit, then they'll put some additional imposts on that. So we have to transition. We are one of the biggest steel manufacturers. So we have to go to green steel. Again, I am launching a pilot for the green steel. Mobility. The international community of shipping companies, they came and met me. And they met me in Abu Dhabi when I was there presiding over the IRENA assembly. And they said that, look, I mean, they are going green, they want refueling. I said, India is the best refueling place because we'll give you green hydrogen, green ammonia at rates which you won't get anywhere. So they are interested in that. So I will be building, I have spoken already to my colleague, Minister for Shipping, Sarbanand, of having bunkers for storing green hydrogen and green ammonia at every port.
One of the things that's been in the news in India is the concern about land subsidence in Joshimath in Uttarakhand and the potential linkage with a National Thermal Power Corporation power project. So you're working over there on a hydro power project, Tapovan Vishnugarh, which is overseen by the NTPC. And many people locally are concerned about the impact of the construction of that power project in an ecologically sensitive zone on the fact that there are now big cracks appearing in buildings and land seems to be subsiding.
You know, unfortunately the facts have not been not known. The fact is, the local people know that, but basically people outside don't know that. The fact is that this project was started in 2009. Joshimath had started, you know, subsidence had started in Joshimath, cracks had started appearing in Joshimath in 1975. So the central and the state governments had set up a committee of all the major geologists and scientists, etc. Now they came to the conclusion that Joshimath, you know, is a settlement habitation which has sprung up, you know, by itself, unregulated, on a landmass which is actually part of a slide which occurred, which started a long time back. And you know, that it's not firm land; it's a part of a slide, and it doesn't have, you know, rock, uniform rock. It has large boulders below, which are on gravel, and none of these houses have sewerage or drainage. Water goes down, and that loosens the, you know, bed on which these rocks, discrete rocks, are placed, so that, you know, it slides happens from time to time. So this is 76. The NTPC plant started in 2009. The problem of Joshimath started much before that, so it's not related. Number one. Number two, the NTPC plant is 15 kilometers away from Joshimath. Between the NTPC plant and Joshimath, there are numerous habitations, numerous villages. NTPC's own colony is there. Nothing has happened between all these villages, etc., which are close, which are by the you know, hydro plant under construction. Those villages are secure. So if the cause were that plant, those villages would have been the first to develop cracks. Nothing. That's the way also.
No, but do you see a concern about some of the hydro projects that are being built? I'm just zooming out of Joshimath to the larger question raised by environmentalists
is
about
not
the government
of
wanting to build lots of hydro power projects.
Let's get one thing clear before you move from there. So Joshimath is not, what's happening in Joshimath is not because of the hydro project. We are clear about that. Yeah. If it were, then all those villages between that 15 under construction 15 kilometers away and between Joshimath, all those villages would have developed cracks and subsidence. Nothing is happening.
How do you respond to the larger concern being raised by environmentalists that the Modi government, on your watch, is being highly aggressive in building these hydro projects in ecologically sensitive zones? A lot of projects which had earlier been red flagged as being of concern are now being green flagged on your watch.
In fact, again, what you are saying is not consonant, to put it mildly, not consonant with the facts. To put it mildly,
I've been speaking to a lot of environmentalists, and that's the concern.
It's in fact, it's against the facts. So basically, it is bogus. I'll tell you what. A number of projects were started much before the Modi government came into office, and though all those projects were going on, when the Modi government came to office, many of these projects about which there were real concerns were stopped. Some river valleys were made no-go zone. This is the Modi government, right? only those projects were allowed to continue, I think 4 or 5, about which all the, geologists, all the experts said that these are secure. Otherwise, the Modi government, of the projects which were started in the previous regimes, the Modi government red flagged a large number of projects. So what you are saying is exactly the opposite of what happened. Let's not, deviate from the government red flag, which were started much earlier. Even this project was started when? 2009. Who was in office in 2009? So let's not. But one thing we must understand: any project, whatever, I'm talking about government. I told you the facts just because you mentioned one particular Modi government. But any project which is taken up after a very, very detailed sort of study. So what happens is that a detailed study is carried out, then environmental impact assessment is carried out, and it's carried out in detail. That environmental impact assessment and the stability, structural, etc., is looked at by the CWC, Central Water Commission. Then, if it red flag, gone. It's looked at again by the NGT, red flag, gone. It's looked at thereafter by the Central Electricity Authority. They go through all these details, point by point, and only then is a project taken up.
Here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, you've had an opportunity, Minister, to talk to several global companies and leaders about the current economic situation. What's the general takeaway that you've picked up about how the world is perceiving India at this moment?
India is a happening place. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And that is the buzz around here, that India is growing at 7%, 6.87%. Whereas in the rest of the developed world, there is a inflation and the rate of growth has subsided to almost 1.2%, 1.5%, that's it. Energy sector, there has been an upheaval in the developed world. There has been no upheaval in our world, in our country, despite the fact that my demand has grown by 10.6% this year, this financial year. And the last 2 months it has grown by 12.5%. As far as my sector is concerned, number one, we have emerged as the happening country. As far as my sector is concerned, Bloomberg categorized us as the most attractive destination for investment in renewables in the world, not in Asia, in the world. And every major fund in the world is invested there. I had a large number of requests for bilaterals, many of which I couldn't actually accommodate. But even then, we have had the largest number of bilaterals, and most of them are invested and are going to invest more or are going in. And in fact, the message is that I'm missing out. If I'm not there, I'm missing out. That is the message. And they are missing out.
That's a good note to end this conversation on. It's always great that the India story is attracting attention here.
Especially my story. I mean, it's really something.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone.